Hi, welcome to your practice. So today we're going to do a little bit with the psoas. So we'll start with some MFR and then we'll do a little bit of movement and a little bit of strengthening for that area, these hip flexors here. So the first one that we're going to do, so you'll need two balls, two tennis balls, myofascial balls, or you could use lacrosse balls as well, and two blocks, maybe if you like to use the blocks. So the first spot that we're going to go to is going to be right inside this frontal hip point here, ASIS. So that little bone that sticks out, we're going to go right inside there. That'll be the first one. And then the second one will be just below the navel, about an inch on either side and just slightly below the navel there. Okay, so let's get started. So we're just going to come onto the floor, onto the mat, and you'll take one ball and place it right inside each of those frontal hip points there. And then we're just going to come down, kind of awkward at first, and just place them in there. And then from here, you're going to get a little bit more lifting up, right? And less pressure if you bring your head down. So you can just stay and linger in one spot, or maybe just gently shift the hips side to side. Maybe even just slightly leaning on one side and then moving to the other side. I might have to kind of maneuver them a little bit. So try to find a little bit of stillness. And then as you inhale, imagine that your breath is pressing the balls away. And then as you exhale, just soften around them. Imagine that the tissues are just softening around the balls here. So if you're somebody that sits a lot, this will be really nice and helpful for that. And I would say 1 to 2 minutes for each technique. So not needing more than that. Okay. So then we're just going to take the balls and we're going to move them up to that belly button area, just slightly below the navel there. And so this one might be a little bit more tender. And then again, maybe you just drop down. Maybe you shift the hips left and right. And same thing, when you start to lift up, that's going to create a little bit more pressure there. And then finding a little stillness, just allow them to sink in. You might be able to feel your little heartbeat in your belly. Okay, and then we'll remove that and we'll just set those to the side. And then just turn around and lie on your back for a couple breaths and just notice maybe a softening there or any differences. letting that land in the body. And then we're going to come on up here. And if you want to use blocks here, you can bring them to the front of the mat. Also, if you need anything for the knees, we'll be on the knees a little bit, grabbing maybe a blanket and coming onto the knees. Right. So I'm going to come down, hands and knees here. And we'll just take a couple rounds of cat-cow. So drop the belly, lift the chin, lift the hips, and then exhale round like a cat. Inhale, exhale round. So this time on your inhale, you're going to take an inhale in the center, and actually on your exhale, draw this left shoulder towards your left hip, shortening the side of the body here. That's your exhale. Inhale, center. Exhale, squeeze the shoulder towards the hip. Inhale, center. Exhale. One more time each side. And then we'll come back to the center here. And then we're just going to step. Actually, let's lift the hips and come into downward facing dog here. Just pedal the feet out. Press your hands into the mat. Find a little bit of stillness here. Find your breath. Connect to your breath. And then we're just going to step that right foot forward, drop the back knee here for a low lunge. Maybe you want to reach the arms up here, little back bend, and then open the arms. Good. Reach up again. Inhale. And then exhale, open the arms here. Take a breath in with these cactus arms. And then on your exhale, you're going to shift the hip up. Start to tilt the pelvis back. And then draw the arms in towards each other. Inhale, sink down, open. And then exhale, round a little cat spine. So you should really be feeling that here on that front hip flexor. Inhale, open. Exhale, round. Let's do one more. All right, and go ahead and sink down. Bring your hands to the mat or to the blocks. Again, as I was saying, like maybe you want to have your blocks up on a high level here, medium or low, or no. And then you're going to bring your left hand to the floor. Right arm reaches up. And then just circle this arm around here. Good. And then we're going to come up, and then we're going to bend this arm. Actually, I'm going to shut this door. We're going to bend this arm. So this is our exhale. And then on your inhale, straighten the right leg, reach forward. Inhale, exhale. So option here too to have this back leg up, this back knee up. So we're just working on lubricating, moving, warming up. All right, and then drop that back knee. Plant your right hand on the mat, and let's just shift the hips back for a little child's pose. And then on your inhale, you're gonna lift, tuck the toes, and then lift the hips up and back. Downward facing dog. Draw the breath in as you press into the mat and lift the hips. So bending the knees any amount here. And then we'll step the left foot forward. Second side. Untuck the back toes. Then we're going to reach up. Anjaneyasana. Reach up, maybe a little back bend. And then on your exhale, open. Cactus arms. Inhale, reach. Exhale, open. Reach up again. Exhale, open. Take a breath in. And then this time on the exhale, remember, we're going to start to lift and start to tuck the pelvis under here as we draw our arms in. Forearms touch. Inhale, open. Exhale. Last time. I didn't count the first time, so I'm not sure. Exhale. All right, and then we're going to sink down. We're going to bring that right hand down. Left arm reaches here. Let's make some circles. And then we're going to bend the arm here. So remember, this is the exhale. The inhale, we're going to straighten any amount. Leg doesn't have to be completely straight. Maybe you're here. All good. Inhale, exhale. And then also, just like the other side, maybe that back leg lift. Especially if you have any knee issues. Last time. And then we're going to bring that left hand to the mat. Lift that leg back. Come into plank pose. I'm going to slide my blanket out of the way. Press the floor away. Draw in through the sides of the belly. Roll forward, shoulders forward. Start to lower down, all the way down. Slow, slow, slow. On your inhale, press your hands lightly into the mat. Lift the chest. And then exhale, tap the forehead down. Inhale, peel it up. Maybe draw the palms back towards your hips. Exhale, lower. Inhale, peel the chest up. A little bit higher, maybe upward facing dog. And then on the exhale, shift the hips back, down dog. Draw the breath in. Exhale. On your inhale, lift your right leg, three-legged dog. Exhale, step your right foot through. Drop your back knee. Reach up. Anjaneyasana. Exhale, open. Take a breath in. Exhale, round the spine. On your inhale, open the arms. And then exhale, left hand down. Right arm reaches. Tuck the back toe, maybe lift the back leg here. Bend the arm. Inhale, reach. Straighten the leg. Exhale, bend. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Inhale. Exhale, Bring the right hand down to frame the front foot, step back to plank. Take a breath in. On your exhale, lower. Remembering you can always drop your knees to lower down. On your inhale, peel the chest up, cobra, maybe up dog. And then exhale. Maybe pressing through the knees, lifting the hips, downward facing dog. Lift the left leg on the in-breath. Exhale, step your left foot through on the exhale. Tap the back knee, untuck the right toes, reach up. For that lunge, exhale, open the arms. Inhale, find some length. Exhale, open, draw the breath in. On your exhale, round, scoop the pelvis there. Inhale, open. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. This time, open the arms. Right hand comes down, left arm reaches. Maybe tuck the back toe and lift the back leg, or you can keep it down. Exhale, bending into that arm. Inhale, reach. Maybe gaze toward the fingertips. Exhale. Inhale. Inhale, reach. Exhale, bend. Left hand comes down. Press into the mat. Lift the foot. Step back to plank pose. Press the floor away on the inhale. And then exhale, lower down. Open the chest. Maybe lift. And then exhale, downward facing dog. Now from here, drop to the knees. We're just going to sit back. We're going to take a breath here. Maybe closing the eyes and just tapping in. And that little sequence, you can repeat that as many times as you'd like. But for our purposes here, I want to give you the little sequence, give you the MFR, and one last little strengthening exercise, and then I'll let you go. Okay, so let's do the very last one. So this one is going to be for strengthening the psoas here. Eccentric strengthening. So strengthening as we're lengthening. Okay, so we're going to take a block and you're going to lift the hips, slide the block under. So you can choose. You might want the block on the lowest setting or maybe that medium setting. So it's just going to depend on what feels like it's doing something beneficial. So I'll start low. And then I'm going to bring one leg long, and then I'm going to bring the other knee into my chest here. So we want to have a nice opening in this psoas here, okay? And what we're going to do is we're just going to switch. So we're going to bring this leg down and this leg is going to come up. For me, I think I'm going to lift it up on the next setting. I like it a little bit higher here. So we'll bring this in, this leg will dip down, and then the knee will come down, and then this leg will lift. So inhale, exhale. Now, depending where you are in your recovery or your strengthening process, you might do 3 rounds of 10, maybe you just do 15 on each side, or 10, or 5. You decide. I've already lost count. So I'm going to switch sides. I'm going to draw that knee in. And then I'm going to bring this right leg long here. And then take a breath. And then I'm going to inhale, lift, exhale. And even maybe just really slowing it down and just feeling into the stretch and the strength. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to draw the knees in, and then here you can just turn your knees slightly to the right. And come back to center and just turn them to the left a little bit. And then we're going to bring the feet down, lift the hips, remove the block, lower down. Press your upper arms into the mat, fingers pointing up, and we're just going to lift the hips on the inhale and lower on the exhale. And then reach your arms overhead on the inhale and lower arms and hips on the exhale. One more. And from there, you can bring that left ankle, right ankle, or left, whichever side you want to do, onto that knee for just a little hip opener, hip stretch. You can just press your block onto the inside of your knee here. That may be enough. Otherwise, maybe you start to draw that knee in, maybe using the elbow here to create some tension, flexing the feet. Sometimes I like to do my little ankle circles here too. Multitasking. All right, and then we'll just bring that foot down, and we'll just switch sides here. And just notice the difference between sides. I could just sit here with this block pressed here and be completely happy. But if you want to pull that knee in, you can draw the knee in here. Maybe even a little side to side. I can never get enough hip stretches. Never. All right, and then we'll release that. Bring your feet mat width and just drop your knees to the right and to the left. Little windshield wipers. And then we're going to come to a little Shavasana. So just come to resting on your mat. And let everything go. Just allow that, all that work you've done to land in the body.